Hello, everybody. Back to talk about Fear Factor House of Fear episode 2 of this first season that they've turned into a challenge knockoff, but that I am quite enjoying. I see that last week in the comments, a lot of people didn't realize this was a competition show these days. They thought it was just like the old Fear Factor where it was in one single episode, someone would win. No, this is a season-long competition, and I'm enjoying myself. And even though I would say a weak part of the show is maybe the editing and really just editing every player into episodes, they've struggled with that 2 episodes in. It's still better than the Traitors current season. Not only for me enjoying this season more than this current Traitors season, but the editing is better than this current Traitors season. Where on the Traitors, we're 5 episodes in, and we still don't know shit about Mark and Steven and what they're doing in the game. So, and I get they have a bigger cast, but they're also 5 episodes in. And could be doing a better job editing. So this Fear Factor show has its faults, but I'm enjoying myself, and I'm going to keep recapping it even if nobody's watching, which it doesn't seem like a lot of people are watching this show. But I hope people start watching because I would like it to have a second season. And they casted pretty decently overall. There's a couple of good casting that we've talked about last week. We'll talk about more today. Let's start at the beginning. Zach is definitely becoming one of the show's main people, for sure. Zach is the one that last week was going after the pretty girls, and in this episode, he was celebrating that Kristen went home. He made a joke that he wanted Kristen to go home because she was a cheerleader and he was jealous. And then he started talking about how he already has his next target. So Zach is here to play. Zach is giving our villain of the show. A lot of the other cast members are now after him because of the way he's been playing the game, because he's been targeting people to their faces. Zach doesn't really give a shit. We're going to get more into Zach as this episode goes along, though. Danielle finally got a confessional in this episode. I don't think she had one in episode 1, but Danielle had a much bigger episode this week. First of all, her confessional was about how Zach acting the way he was about Kristen, and Kristen's job is scaring her, so she's not talking about her real job. She's actually an aerospace engineer. She's one of those players keeping her real job secret as to not get a target on her back, and it's kind of working. Chelsea was also talking about this episode about Zach being shady, and how Zach's already talking about getting people out the door, getting them away like dogs, going like get to people in the house. So Chelsea's goal in this episode was to get Zach out, and it was one of our bigger story threads editing wise of this episode. Then Jenny also finally got a confessional. I don't think she had one in episode 1. We learned about her fear of heights and her many fears in general. She was talking about how her son probably thinks she's going to fail on this show. With Jenny getting that confessional, I was assuming she was a strong contender to win our challenge in this episode because heights was one of the parts of the challenge. We'll talk about that in a second, though. Damien was the other one who has a fear of fire. And frankly, out of everyone so far, she has the most valid reason for her fear because Damien lost everything in a fire when she was younger, and she had to actually get out of the house or the apartment that she lived in when there was a fire when she was younger. So I feel as though her fear of fire is very, very valid, and that is a fucked up way to grow up, losing not only... She talked about losing the Christmas gifts that her mother worked hard to buy, but also all their personal belongings. So tough for Damien, a tough backstory there. In this episode, Damien was once again great for her confessionals, but also just in general, she says things that makes me laugh. She's a big personality, and she has her fears, and when they come together, it can make for some good laughs. And then another big story coming out of the first episode was Rob and Jayleen. They were having their little flirtmance in episode 1. But then Rob was trying to make this alliance with Jayleen and Kristen. But then he was a power player, whatever we're calling them. And still both Jayleen and Kristen were voted into the end game. So she doesn't know if Rob will actually have her back, and she is second guessing their alliance and maybe even their whole Flirtmans thing. So the competition was called Wrecking Ball. It was heights and fire as the fears. They had to start 65 feet up in the air and swing through the wall like a wrecking ball, but that wall was over a fire. And then they had to swing the other way and grab onto a net and climb up on a platform and then build a ladder to go up even higher and get to the top of the ladder the fastest. Damien was obviously scared of this challenge because of fire, and she also fears that her hair is more flammable than others, so she was 100% scared of this challenge. Danielle and Zach went first. Danielle didn't love that she was partnered with Zach for this challenge because Zach is public enemy number one, and he was getting on her nerves at the start of the challenge anyway, and they failed to grab the net, so they were disqualified, which of course made a lot of people in the house happy because Zach was the target. Jayleen was also happy after Zach targeted her last week along with Kristen. They have that whole thing building up, Jayleen versus Zach. I didn't love Jayleen calling Zach a bully though. I hate when the word bully gets thrown around in these reality competition shows. Once in a while, it is very much correct, but we're only 2 episodes in. Zach wasn't bullying people. Zach was talking his shit. Zach's playing the game, targeting pretty people like Kristen and Jayleen. So, I liked Jayleen last week. Didn't love the bully comment this week. Rob and Jenny were a duo for this challenge, and Rob was the MVP of their run at this challenge. Jenny relied on him a lot. But Jenny did good well. They were building the ladder together. They got one of the best times, and Jenny did get over her fear of heights by doing this challenge. So that was Jenny's edit for this episode. Lance and Blake partnered up. I don't know if they got to choose who they were partnered up or if they were random, and one person had to go twice, so I'm assuming they were random. But last week's episode was all about how Lance was protecting Blake, and so this week they're in a duo together for this challenge. Blake's this physics teacher. He saw this challenge as a physics problem, but they failed at this challenge. They were not able to grab the net, and Lance had a lot less of an edit this week than episode 1, where he kind of got the mastermind edit for episode 1, but we still have this Lance and Blake alliance in this episode. Rodney and Dida were a team. Dida has the least edit, I would say, or one of them, at least confessional-wise. He did not get a confessional for pretty much these first 2 episodes. His first confessional came at the very end of this episode, which we will get to. Dida is still getting an edit, but the lack of confessionals is kind of concerning. And then Tyler and Jayleen were together. They did really good, especially for a woman team together. They were 7 seconds short of the time to beat, though. Then Ethan and Chelsea went together. Chelsea really wants to win this challenge to get Zach in the end game. Ethan and Chelsea crushed this challenge. They had the best time by far. They ended up being the winners. They were the ones to decide who went into the end game in this episode. And then Dida got to go twice because there was an odd number of players. So he also went with Damien. But unfortunately, Damien's fear of fire made it so that they were not able to do the competition. So Damien not able to get over her fear of fire, but I understand it because she has the most valid reason for her fear. So Ethan and Chelsea were our winners, and they got to choose 4 people to go into the end game. We had an alliance set up in this episode, and I do think this episode did a better job of showing us the strategy, showing us the alliances, which is why I'm enjoying the show. This was a good episode because I do think they did a good job of showing us what's going on with the actual game and still gave us some good challenges, fear factor challenges to go with it. So Ethan and Chelsea are talking with Tyler and Dida, and Ethan sees Tyler and Chelsea as the strongest girls, which is probably true so far from what we've seen. So he wants this to be the Final Four alliance. Clearly, Dida getting the least edit within this alliance, though, so that's concerning for him. But they seem to agree to this alliance. I will say Ethan's edit has been weak up until this episode, though. But since he did get the win, he got more of an edit in this episode. Then Rob's playing the game, and I respect it. Rob can tell that Jayleen is not happy with him because of what went down in episode 1, and he wasn't able to protect her and Kristen. They both went into the end game. So Rob's looking for a new alliance. And Rob being Rob, he wants to ally with a woman. So he tries to ally with Danielle, and they discuss how they're not going to be seen as super close. And I liked both of their ideas with this duo together. Danielle wants it to be a secret duo. I don't know if by the end they were able to keep it so secret, but it's good to see Danielle get in on the game and have much more of an edit in this episode. And Rob continues to be a big player, not only trying to be a player with the women, but just getting his allies in order. So Ethan and Chelsea got the first look at the challenge, and it was going to be one of those classic Fear Factor challenges, a gross ass smoothie of different gross things together that people are going to have to drink. Ethan's strategy here was to do Rob, since Rob put him in the end game last week. Even though with the edit, it seemed to be more of Lance's idea, which is why I still feel like Lance really was a mastermind in episode 1, despite him not getting much of an edit in this episode. So yeah, that's Ethan's idea, is to get revenge on Rob, basically. And of course, Chelsea is pushing very hard for Zach. They did remember earlier in the episode when, what's her name? Jenny was talking about how if it's a food challenge, she would probably do better if it's a smoothie. So they chose her. And then they see Danielle as very secretive. So they wanted to do her as well. Zach had this whole strategy of acting like there's no way he could do a food challenge. It's his biggest fear. He's going to lose. He was being super dramatic about it. So dramatic about it that Rob was questioning if it was even real. And Rodney, who used to be a detective, was pretty certain that Zach was faking this as well, because so far Zach has kept all of his fears close to his chest, and now he's suddenly just out there crying about not wanting to do this challenge. It did seem like it was Zach just trying to not get chosen to do a challenge. So the challenge was in this end game. And like I said, Jenny, Rob, Zach, Danielle were chosen. When Ethan chose Rob, he did say that he's going to choose people that throw him into the end game, which is, I guess, kind of a veiled threat to try and get people to not throw him into an end game. But then in this same end game, he also chooses Danielle, who never chose him to be in an end game. So I don't love Ethan's strategy. As we discussed last week, he is the youngest one in the game, so I can see why his strategy is actually kind of immature. For this, they had to spin 2 separate wheels, get 2 separate gross items, and drink the smoothie that our host, Johnny Knoxville, makes. And the first round, whoever finished the fastest would be okay, would be safe, and would be able to give a smaller glass to a person in the second round. So Jenny got fermented beans and sour milk, which people were saying that was one of the easier ones, but drinking sour milk in general, having to drink a whole glass of sour milk would make me want to puke. Danielle got cow stomach and pig's blood, which looked really gross. I mean, the pig's blood alone is disgusting. Rob got pig ears and fermented egg juice, and Zach got chicken gizzards and cat food gravy. Johnny Knoxville did not like the smell of that one. I think it probably smelled just like cat food, which basically was cat food. Cat food gravy and chicken gizzards. Yeah. Zach had to drink cat food. So in the first round, Zach decided not to drink at all. He was acting like he couldn't even do it, but it was all part of his strategy. Because honestly, why not drink the first round? If you're not going to win the first round and drink it the fastest, should you really even drink it? Rob finished the fastest, and Rob got to choose someone to get a small glass. As we discussed, Rob and Danielle became a new secret duo in this episode. Rob did the good thing of saying that, Jenny got to get a boost by doing the height challenge with him, and she did rely on Rob for that challenge. So he's saying he's giving Danielle a boost here by giving her the smallest glass, which leads to the last round with Jenny having to drink pig heart and vomit fruit, whatever the fuck vomit fruit is. Danielle got to do pig ears and pig blood, but in the small glass. Zach got chicken gizzards and fermented egg juice. Zach killed it. He was faking it all along. He drank the glass very fast, finished even before Danielle and her small glass. But Danielle, because she had the small glass, did finish before Jenny. So Jenny was eliminated. A lot of things here. First of all, Jenny's edit in episode 1 being non-existent makes sense if she was just going home in episode 2, I suppose. She did get the edit in this episode of getting to get over her fear of heights by doing good in that challenge, but then going home. Zach is good TV. Zach is a good villain. He's playing the whole house. He's a wild card. He was faking it in this episode. Dida finally got a confessional at the end to say that Zach played them and he can't be trusted. The problem with Zach doing all this is that he probably is house target going forward, because, if you're trying to play everyone, everyone's going to come after you. Zach plays a very bold, over-the-top game, but I like it. I like that he's the villain. I think the show is setting up a lot of good things here. We have Rob and Danielle's secret alliance going on, but Rob and Jayleen still have their flirtments, even though Jayleen feels like she can't trust Rob now. Chelsea failed in getting Zach out in this episode like she wanted, and Ethan had this big spiel about why he put in Rob, and then Rob killed the challenge, and then he also put in Danielle, so Danielle might want some revenge on Ethan. I don't know. Damien continues to give us some good confessionals. She's still funny, and even though Lance was far less involved in this episode compared to episode 1 when he was kind of a mastermind, we still have this Lance and Blake connection, and I'm wondering what's going to happen with that duo. So the show's off to a good start. I have enjoyed these first 2 episodes, and I'm hoping more people watch because it's a good show and it's better than The Traitors right now.